Otakuology Podcast with Otaku Mike and Jin Graves.
All right.
Hey guys, what's up? Otakuology here, and we are going to have a great show tonight for all of you because we got the one and only Papa Weeb in the house.
Yeah, Pop.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
oh yeah, and Mike's here too.
Oh yeah, I'm here too. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to start off by saying, I really appreciate the invite to be on here. It means a lot to me. I know, Mike, I'm sure we'll plug my stuff here before too long, but you were an early supporter of my YouTube channel, so I always appreciate that. And Jen being a follower of mine on Instagram from like early on, so I appreciate the support, guys.
I mean, we have the creator of the world premiere Punisher podcast with us.
Yeah, the
Punisher Body Count.
The internet's #1 award-winning Punisher podcast.
Oh, sorry, award-winning Punisher podcast. I haven't gotten to that part yet.
I was going to say that's why I told you to start with the new stuff when we're award-winning.
Right.
Oh yeah. So yeah, let's get into this. How did you get into the weeb hobby of manga collecting?
Okay, that's a great question. So, it actually started. I like a lot of weebs. I started with American comic books, right?
Uh-huh.
The '90s X-Men cartoon, like that was
Gotcha.
way into the subculture. And I was reading comic books off and on, and I was working with this guy back when I used to live in Little Rock, and he was into comics too, into drawing and all that. And one day he's told me like, "Well, have you read Battle Royale?"
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know, I've never heard of that. And it's like, oh man, it's this manga, it's from Japan. You got to check it out. So I did, and just fell in love with it. Went from that to reading Akira. And then just, like I said, this is circa 2003 when Tokyo Pop is still dominating the bookshelves, right? So that's how much changed the industry.
Yeah.
And Viz was like a nobody. They had Dragon Ball, and that was it. Dragon Ball and Inuyasha. That was the only book they ever had. So, yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. And I think I was watching anime a little bit before then, but I hadn't made the connection in my head that anime is based off of manga.
So in the year 2000, 'cause that was a while ago, what was it like for you going out and collecting? Was it harder? Was it different than it is now?
It's not too different than what it is now, but that's just because I'm like stuck in my ways. So I was fortunate enough. So I'm old. Okay. Like I turned 40 this year. So people can do some math. I was roughly 20, 21 when I started collecting manga. So, I mean, I was somewhat established in life. I had a car. I would go drive, I'd go drive to University Mall because they had this store there called Bertano's or something like that.
Yeah.
If it's still there, if I'm even remembering the name right, that'd be a miracle. But I would go there and they had a decent shelf. So I would just go there whenever the books would come out and I'd buy it. It was a little trickier knowing when the books would come out, right? So I'm pretty nerdy. I keep like a little Google Doc of all of the books that I'm going to buy, and I stalk Amazon and I'm like, okay, when is this coming out? I'll write down the date and then I'll know when to look for it. I think back in the day, since a lot of it was tied to comic book sales, and I know, I think Diamond still distributes some manga, but
I believe they do. Yeah.
I would have to like read preview to know with street dates on some of this stuff. So and obviously the internet was around. Right Stuff was probably around, but I didn't really know about them.
I think they were around. They've been around for I think 30 years about now.
It could be, but I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, the internet wasn't the internet like you know it,
Yeah.
right? E-commerce was still like in its infancy. So, um, and that's kind of just what I do today. I have my list of
Hmm.
books. I go to the stores and I go get them. And there's another reason for that too. But I order very little online. If I'm ordering something
Hmm.
online, it's because my local store either doesn't have it or their copy is so beat up that I don't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Def,
Yeah.
and,
Oh woof.
definitely.
and the reason for that is, if you guys have been in the hobby long enough, right around 2010, so kind of during the Great Recession, when
Yeah.
Tokyo Pop just nosedives. And for the longest time, I just thought they had bad business practices. I didn't realize Kodansha yanked all the licenses from them. But
Yeah.
there was like a little mini implosion of
Oh yeah. Most
Yes.
definitely.
it, and there, I think there were a lot of reasons for that. The financial crisis didn't help. But also at that time, I think a lot of people were getting into scans and just trying to
Yeah.
grab ass everything. So
That was that was actually around the same time as when a lot of the anime companies imploded as well.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Like right before that, I believe a lot of the anime companies went under.
it's because like I used to do a lot of gaming. I used to play the Naruto card game, like in my mid 20s, and like the
Oh yeah.
just
I didn't know there was a Naruto card game.
oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh man.
So the guys that I play with were always talking about, oh, there's a new episode coming out, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Toonami's already done with their season, or whether they're like, no, man, I do the fan subs, and I just heard more and more people doing that. And here's the thing, like I know times are tough, money's hard to come by, totally get that, but I try to just buy it from the primary source as much as I can because the more you buy, the more they're going to make. So it's my little way of
Oh
to
yeah.
help.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, you don't really have to read scans anymore. I don't want this to be like a scan
Oh,
debate. I mean, a lot of stuff is easily to get a hold of, you know. Yeah.
well, yeah, there's
Um,
my story of how I got into manga specifically. Uh,
yeah.
so yeah, if people aren't aware, I run a YouTube channel with my wife and daughter, and a question I get asked a lot on Instagram is if I got my wife into collecting manga, which is funny. And I realize we're not interviewing her, but she actually started collecting manga like 2 or 3 years before me, and like she could only get it in comic book stores when she first started, and it had to be a very specific comic book store because the big retailers like Barnes and Noble weren't carrying it yet.
Right. Yeah, that's actually one of my questions was if you and your wife actually met through manga or uh, just kind of how y'all found out about each other's hobby through this.
Sure, that's a great question. So I'm not even going to lie, we met on the internet, okay? But
Hey, that's how I met that's how I met my wife.
but I'm not disrespecting dating apps or anything, but we didn't meet through a dating app.
Yeah.
So imagine
Was it a forum or some
it
kind?
was an internet chat room. So
Was it AOL
it
chat?
was not AOL chat. It was almost something. It was something almost as obscure. It was Yahoo chat.
Oh man.
It was yeah, Yahoo chat, and the it was the comic book chat room, right?
Okay.
Right around the time I met her. So if people aren't aware, on our YouTube channel, my wife draws all of our YouTube thumbnails. Right, she's a pretty decent artist, and at the time that I had met her, she was competing in this contest that Dark Horse had going on called Strip Search. And what you would do is you would submit in like I think a 7-page comic strip, and then people would
Yeah.
vote on it, and you could get into the anthology that they put out. And
Hmm.
so she was showing off the story that she got accepted into that book. So that's kind of how I met her. And once upon a time, I had these delusions that I would make my own comic. And, obviously, I'm always looking for an artist. So I just started talking to her. And what's hilarious is that she said that the only reason why she continued talking to me is because when I private messaged her, the first thing I said wasn't, oh, what's your ASL? You know,
Yeah.
for those youngsters, that means age, sex, location. They used to
I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah,
Really?
I sometimes I don't know things. They just fly over my head.
yeah.
I didn't know what IDK was for the longest time.
Oh man, that's bad. But I get you. My daughter, you will use stuff like that. Like, what was the one that she used the other day? Um, I can't remember. That's how terrible I am. But yeah, so yeah, what would happen is you'd be in these chat rooms, you'd PM someone, and you would say ASL question mark, and you would reply your age, sex, and location. And I don't know. I guess that was the early 2Ks version of the dick pic or something. Um,
Probably. I had somebody message me that before, and well, I said I could do that, but I said I've been doing it for the past 5 minutes, and I don't think you can see me through the camera or whatever. So of course you're not understanding my American Sign Language. And they were like, "What?" I said, "That's what you wanted, right?"
yeah, but yeah, man, my wife is big time, or not so much anymore, but she was big time into comic books, mostly X Men. She has a ton of X Men comics. But she got into manga, I think, by watching some stuff on Adult Swim. And the first manga
Mm-hmm.
she started collecting was Inuyasha. And what's funny is we have the first print run of Inuyasha. Like everyone thinks about the
It's like the long thin,
yeah,
like long thin. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
with the multicolor. It's not that classic yellow tankobon format.
No, they're like
Right.
multicolored, I believe, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They have different color spines.
Yep,
Yeah.
Because I think Ranma was like that as
I
well.
believe so. So was Maison Ikoku. And
Yeah, yeah.
from my understanding, what their initial strategy was, and the reason why you'll see a lot more women into manga than men, generally speaking, is that was a conscious marketing decision. They made them look like young adult novels and put them into bookstores, so that way, women would
Oh,
they,
really? I didn't know that. That's
they
interesting.
wouldn't have to go to the comic book store and feel isolated.
Surprise.
So,
No, yeah, you feel that way in a comic book store sometimes. Yeah,
sure,
I can totally see that. I lost my train of thought.
that's okay.
Um, do you Speaking of, what was the first manga that you started collecting?
Yeah, it was Battle Royale.
Battle Royale. Okay.
I remember buying it. I think Volume 4 was the newest one that had come out when I started collecting. And what's funny is I realize that's a chase book now, but like
Yeah,
that book was
that's weird.
everywhere in 2003. Like so many, and then they did the
The
Fun
movie.
Heart. Well, yeah, the movie I think was first
Oh, was it?
because from what I understand is that the author Takami Koshin didn't like the movie, and so he
Mm.
wanted to do the manga to be the definitive visual version of his book. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I heard that.
yeah. But yeah, in 2003, in 2004, 2005, Battle Royale was everywhere. They did multiple print runs of it. I guess that's a testament to just how good that story really is, because it's not like some weird obscure book
No.
course did one print run on, so
Yeah.
Right.
but yeah,
It's so weird how it's so sought after nowadays, but like
right,
when it first came out, you could find it anywhere.
yeah, like if and for sometime around 2010, 2012, you could find it fairly cheap, like at discount bookstores, like people
Yeah.
hawk their collections or whatever.
Yeah. Do you have any guilty pleasures when it comes to manga?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
my current,
What are some of those
I
titles?
feel like I got to do hush tones here. My my
Beep.
current guilty pleasure manga, and I'm almost ashamed to admit it, is Gal Gohan right now.
Is that the cooking manga?
Yeah,
No.
Is
do
it?
you know about it, Jen?
Yeah.
No, this is actually a great manga. Okay, um, it's about this girl Miku who she's the gal type, right?
Oh wait, is that colored manga?
No, no,
It's not the one that's all colored.
I think
No, you're thinking of the
No.
other one that I have.
Oh, that's Galco Chan.
oh
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
I got it mixed up then. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Please tell me, Galco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, in Gal Galgone, it's about this girl, Miku Okazaki, who's a gal type. Um, she gets an easy time from all of her instructors because she's pretty. They're horny old men, so they just give her a pass and do whatever, right? But her home ec teacher, basically um, helps her to actually learn something, which in this case is cooking, and she ends up developing a crush for him, and he starts this after school cooking club that she ends up joining, and it's all about her just pushing the envelope, trying to get together with the teacher. um, I think I really like it because it's just funny. There's a little bit of fan service, which I kind of like, um, but it really deals with some good, morality issues about age appropriateness, and it really explores it from all angles. Obviously, it's very front of mind that they're in a modern Japanese, society, that
Hmm.
it's illegal. No questions asked. He would be fired if someone of authority
Yeah.
saw half the stuff that they did. But then they also like go out to the country, for a club field trip to like pick vegetables or whatever. And the
Right.
couple on the farm, you know, age wise have the same gap, but they're obviously, both adults and they're senior citizens. And they're like, oh,
Hmm.
we got married, when we were roughly that age. So it really kind of contrasts that these questions of age and relationships is a recent moral construct. Uh,
Right.
yeah,
Which that's another thing in Sweetness and Lightning, because like I remember us talking about food and stuff, and I was like, "Have you read that?" And you were like, "No, I'm gonna pick up the first volume."
yeah,
And
me too.
I really like how the end of that leaves it open where they could have an age gap relationship. And I just remember like people hanging that one on the wall for that whole concept. They were like, "No, this is going to be a turn off for me." And it was a bunch of girls that like read manga and stuff, and I was like, "Isn't that kind of like y'all's bread and butter? Like age gap relationships and stuff?" And all of them were like, "I hate that. I hate that."
Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of that on Instagram being dissuaded by age gaps. Um, but in this one, the age gap's not that bad. It's only like 8 years, I think. I mean, it's definitely not a Grover Cleveland situation. If you're
Right.
familiar
Well,
with that.
that's one of the things that I told them, because whenever you really get into it and you start seeing it, the guy is her teacher, but you find out he's only been out of college himself for like 4
Yeah,
years. So what
he's 24 and she's 16, if I remember
yeah.
correctly. Yeah.
So
I've
and
been reading one where the girl is 30 and the boy is like 16 or
Is
17.
that we swore we would meet in the next life or whatever?
No, it's called My Boy.
Okay, I'm
yeah.
not familiar with that one.
Yeah, I'll have to show you it. It's interesting. It's about these two people who meet up, and they're both broken and come from like abused backgrounds,
Right.
and they kind of bond and slowly form this relationship.
I feel like
It's a slow burn. It's a real slow burn.
I feel like the funny thing in that is I feel like you're like one of the only people that really read that one, because I don't hear anybody else really
Oh, I
mention
know,
that one.
because when I first started reading it, I was like, "This is an age gap. This is like some kind of romance stuff," you know. And
But
people are like, "No, no, it's
it
not." And I'm like,
it
"Yeah, it
really
is."
it really trips me up with that, how people want to read a bride story, and that's an age gap where it's the guy's younger than the lady, but then they kind of, if you bring up any of this other age gap stuff, it's like, oh, it's just trash, it's just trash. I'm like, how can you say that though when you're reading one of
What
those?
about this?
Well, I mean,
What about this?
yeah.
An incurable case of love. I'm seeing people rave about that one. That one's an age gap, and it's about the same age gap as Gal Gohan.
Right.
Um, I guess people are just picky about their age gaps. I don't know.
Well, I mean, look, I was actually discussing this with my wife last night. I had saw someone on Instagram talking about how they were dumping Blade of the Immortal, which is one of my top manga of all
I just started reading that.
time.
It's
So good.
awesome.
But like, look, there's a lot of rape and sexual abuse in that.
Yeah.
Okay. But I see a lot of the same types of people raving about Apothecary Diaries. And I'm like, okay, I've read both of these. And Blade of the Immortal, yeah, there's sexual assault. It's drawn, it's graphic, whatever. None of the characters think it's acceptable to rape women. This is
Yeah,
against the
that
law.
Right.
yeah. I feel like if when you feel like your character is like accepting of rape, is
Yeah.
where I draw the line.
But like Machi is literally out there killing dudes for rape, right? Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
whole point of the story. In Apothecary Diaries, women are being given to generals just because the emperor doesn't like them anymore. And this is just totally okay. Like women are quite literally property. Everyone's on board with it. Everyone's like, yeah, what do you mean the emperor doesn't like his concubine and is getting a new one? It's Tuesday.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. What volume are you on in Fire Punch? Because I know I saw you reading that one too.
No, I finished it. I've read all 8 volumes.
Okay, so you got to see the part where they took both the people and they said, "Oh, well, the girl's gonna basically be like a concubine for the soldiers or whatever," and the boy's in there with her. He goes, "You're the one for my dogs," and it's
Yeah.
like, what?
Oh yeah, he's like, you're gonna fuck my dogs,
Yeah.
or my
Yes,
dogs are gonna fuck you. I think it was.
That's exactly
yeah.
what it was. Yeah.
I was just like,
That was a crazy book.
yeah,
So yeah,
but I mean,
some double standards out there. I try to judge each story on its own, within
Yeah.
context and all that. There's no genre that I won't try except
Mhm.
for BL and Yuri. And I don't know, probably someone's already going to accuse me of being homophobic for that, but it's
Oh no, I mean, to each their own. Honestly, like I kind of stayed away from Yuri for the longest time, and like I'm kind of slowly getting into it.
and that's
And there's something I like.
that's totally cool. Maybe I'll try it one day. But other than that, I read Slice of Life. I read Stomp
Yeah,
Dojo. Yes, my bread and butter is kind of more
right.
entitled.
Well, I mean, and then there's a yaoi that you'll probably get into at some point, which is the for food manga, which is the What Did You Eat Yesterday?
Not
And both of those guys on there are a gay couple, and I mean, I like that some of that stuff, but when it comes down to it, where like I won't touch BL. I totally believe that yaoi and BL are two separate things, and I know a lot of people argue, no, they are. And I'm like, no, they're really not. BL most of the time seems like it has like hardcore rape or suggestive stuff, and it's usually a mind fuck with somebody that happens in that. And I'm like, yaoi's not usually like that. It's just kind of a love story where things grow from there, and
I thought it was the
you
like B
you might hear
you're
about it.
talking about, or I thought Yaoi was the more sub dom kind of deal.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that either.
I'm not up to date on my terminologies with the manga.
Listen, isn't Banana Fish a BL?
Yes,
Yeah, I believe
it turns in
so.
it turns into one.
Yeah, like I would try Banana Fish, right? Like I keep seeing panels and covers with that, and I'm like, okay, I'll buy 2.
It's on my list.
Yeah,
I don't think it's like has any like hardcore stuff in it, but I believe it is a BL.
No, it does. There's one
It
scene where
does?
one
Okay.
of the characters ends up getting raped.
Oh, okay.
but it's BL.
Well, I
Yeah.
was
It's
wrong.
BL with machine guns. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
Okay.
see?
Yeah. Yeah.
throw some machine guns in there. I'm all about it.
All right. So, what's your next question, Jen?
Okay. So, besides manga, you have any other guilty pleasures that are out there that you enjoy? Besides comic and mangas and stuff?
I don't know about guilty pleasures, but I do have other hobbies. I do a lot of board gaming. I do some miniature gaming, which of course then implies miniature painting. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I also am a tobacco connoisseur. I like smoking
Mm-hmm.
cigars, pipes. I like cooking. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like trying to I'm always on the search to make the perfect steak. Okay. So,
Oh.
I try
Right.
I try grilling, sous vide, all that kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, I enjoy cooking, but I like to try to make somewhat fancy meals. Right.
Right.
That's always
Which I feel like that's the funny thing. I feel like you and I talk more about cooking than we do about manga.
probably.
So,
So speaking of miniatures, how'd you get into the hobby of painting miniatures?
Well, it kind of started again back when I used to live in Arkansas. I spent all of my time in high school. Like when I wasn't in school, I was at this place called Warp Drive Comics and Cards, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I would hang out. I was playing the old Decipher Star Wars card game that was somewhat big in the '90s, and uh, some guys there started playing a lot of Games Workshop games, and I saw them have this table set up that was just jam packed with like terrain, and it looked like
Uh-huh.
crumbling buildings. Like I don't know, it just looked like something from Blade Runner on a tabletop, right?
Oh,
Right.
What's
cool.
going on here? And like, oh, we're playing Necromunda, and it's this game about gang warfare and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this looks cool. And the gangs were really interesting too, right? Like this was like a few years before the Matrix, but they had a gang of like dudes running around in trench coats with shotguns and machine guns and shit like that. And there was
Mm-hmm.
Right.
the Clan Goliath, which were these like hulking Arnold Schwarzenegger types. They had like this all female gang, and I was like, oh, this looks really cool. So I tried to get into it, and again, this is before YouTube or anything like this, where if you wanted to learn something, like you better go find a master to teach you, like Shonen.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm trying to learn how to paint, and people are like, "Ah, you just paint, you just paint." I'm like, "What the fuck does that even mean?" Right? So
Right.
I tried doing it. I sucked at it, and so I kind of put it away. Fast forward, I don't know, a good 15, 20 years, and I'm mostly doing board gaming and stuff. Um, and I run across this guy. He's like, "Hey, man, I want to demo this game to you called Malifaux." And I'm like, "Okay." And
Mm-hmm.
he was a pretty big miniature painter, and his stuff looked, fantastic. And I was always like really intimidated by it. And I'm like, "Okay, I'll play Malifaux." So we demoed it, and I ended up really enjoying it. And he's just like, "Yeah," and he started having like hobby days with me. So like I would go hang the
Oh.
game store, and he'd show me like the proper clippers to use to cut something from a sprue, how to file down a metal miniature, how to properly prime, wash your mini. And then I started watching YouTube videos, where they have tutorials on like, okay, after you've primed, lay down this base color, and then you're going to put down this highlight, and you're going to do this stages, throw an ink wash on it, here's how you fill a gap. So all that stuff that the guys, at Warp Drive Comics and Cards were like, just do it. I'm like, I finally had some instruction, and I've gotten pretty decent at it. I'm not a what they call it, a golden demon. I'm not an award winning painter or anything, but I do pretty well. My stuff looks good on the table, and it looks beautiful when I'm playing. So I guess that's all that really matters.
Right. Oh man, I anything that I do like that, I just have to put my imagination to it because I'm like, I suck at doing everything, and then whenever I'm sitting there looking at, it, I'm like, okay, well, I painted this knight in red, but I feel like he'd look cooler in blue, and then I'm like, well, now I just wasted that piece because now I got to either strip it all the way back down or I got to try something else. So I like got out of painting miniatures real fast.
Well, that's too bad. I mean, I think it's something that people can do, that they're willing to spend a little bit of time and invest in it. And the painting products have gotten so much better. So, what I mean by that is, Games Workshop has a line of paints called contrast paints, and
Mm-hmm.
these things are fantastic for beginner painters. What you do is you prime your miniature white. Okay, they have a
Oh.
special primer called Wraithbone, whatever, but it's
Hmm.
white primer. You prime your miniature white, and then you take this contrast paint, and what they advertise is in one thick coat your miniature will be fully painted, right? Or whatever section you're painting that color, because the paint is thin enough that it'll pull in the crevices of the miniature and it'll
Yeah.
dry darker. So there's your shade. The stuff that, is relatively flat, will just have the normal color to it. And then in the peaks, gravity will pull it off, but you'll still have like a little bit of a color left, and there's your highlight, right? So within one step or with one coat, you're getting your shade, your midtone, and your highlight, all in one go. And
Right.
The stuff looks, pretty decent, for the effort you put into it. I mean, it's not going to win you paint jobs, or sorry, it's not going to win you like painting awards, but like it's painted. You can play on the table. People walk by it at the game store and be like, "Oh, that's super cool."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I tried to go through Privateer Press doing part of their stuff, and I just got so discouraged by it. And I was like,
Yeah. What also,
I'm not gonna
I,
be able
I
to do
feel like
this.
painting is something that's it's best to have a mentor with it, someone that can have those hobby days with you, show you the ropes. Um, it was critical to my success.
Right. Awesome.
Cool. Um,
So, you have any miniature type games right now that you are just all about? You love it and everything.
Oh yeah, the main one that I'm really into is called Bushido by GCT Studios. So this is what do they call it? It's a skirmish war game. So that means that you have a team of roughly 5 to 10 models, somewhere around in that range, and
Right.
it's character driven, which is to say, like each figure isn't like a role playing character where you created stats and everything.
hmm
You're playing
Right.
a unique character in a fluff that has pre-assigned stats to it, right? But like think of it like magic cards, right? So
Right.
um, and then it's based, like in a fantasy feudal Japan type setting. Because like a lot of typical weebs, I'm a big Japanophile, so I love that, samurai warring states period.
Yeah.
But Bushido's a little bit fantastical, right? So it technically takes place in the Jawar Isles, right? Not Japan, even
Right.
though there's samurai and stuff like that. And then there's a bunch of different factions, and each faction has its own little flair. So like you've got the prefecture of Ryu, which are like your standard samurai people, and
hmm
no mystical stuff other than they have a dragon, right? Because Ryu means dragon. They
Right.
have a dragon that goes around on the battlefield and kicks ass. That's their thing. But they also have your standard samurai, Ashigaru, and this sort of thing. Well, then you have the Edo clan, and these are like snake people, right? So
Yeah.
um, you'll have some standard samurai people, but then you'll have like these like half snake, half human dudes like running around with spears, or they're out there casting spells or things like that. And then one of the factions that I play is called the Cult of Ure, and these are like your super. This is like your supernatural clan, right? So
Right.
they've got zombies in it, because like in their little folklore, the guy who's kind of in charge of the cult, he's like a mask maker, and he makes like those porcelain masks, like you see the people in Demon Slayer wear, or something like that. And
hmm
he can put
Yeah.
the porcelain mask on you, and as soon as he does, like you're under his control now, right? So they're not all zombies; some of them are alive. But like the way he plays on the table is he's going around putting control markers on people so he can like take over your figure for the game. When he kills you, he's bringing you back as a zombie. Like, I don't know, it's pretty cool. But that faction also has stuff like the like Iki Rio, like the spirit of vengeance. They have
Yeah.
like orphans that can summon like minor gods onto the table. It's really cool. But that's like the game I'm obsessed with. But since the big C, I don't want to get you demonetized by saying before. Um, uh, my group kind of broke up because it was mostly older guys that are playing, and I've gotten some games in here and there, but
Oh
nothing
man.
like it was, pre-COVID. Um, but hopefully,
Right.
I think most of the guys in my group have been qualified for vaccines. Um, with the way Indiana's going, hopefully I'll get one, or I'll be eligible for one in 2 weeks. It seems like every week at their update, they're lowering it 5 years. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually just got that shot.
yeah,
It sucked. It sucked.
did you get the Pfizer, the Moderna, or the double Johnson?
I don't remember which one. I just got it. I don't know which one it is.
So they offered that at my work too, and everybody came down to where I work at there, and they were like, "So are y'all gonna get it?" And it's just two of us there right now, and we were like, "No." They were like, "Why not?" I go, "Well, if we get it and we both have to go out sick or whatever for like a week," I said, "the rest of y'all are screwed because we work in the mailroom." And I was like, how are we going to do that? Well, we haven't had to deal with any of the stuff yet, so we're like, well, we're not going to have to worry about any of that. So one of the other people knew that my dad was in the military, was joking about, because for a while there, I had to go almost every week and get some kind of a shot. And I was like, the funny thing is they probably already gave me the COVID shot back in the day when I was like 5, and I've had the cure in my body this whole time, and nobody's ever known about it.
That's pretty funny.
So, yeah.
So, talking about your YouTube channel now,
Wait, I have
what
one
made?
more.
Okay, you have one more. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So, what's your favorite miniature you've ever painted?
That would be the name of the miniature is oh, what is it? Summer and Peaches. This is
Yeah.
for Malifaux. It's a it's this like gremlin guy riding a pig.
The pig.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
that one was cool.
yeah, that was my very. I entered that into a local competition, and it was the first miniature I've ever entered into any kind of competition. I spent about 30 hours on it.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh.
and it did win. Okay, which is nice, but I mean, only like 8 people competed. I mean,
uh,
it was a grand production or anything.
I'd really like to see you like build and paint a Gundam model, because I've seen people just like do that and totally make some really cool works of arts with those.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are tempting me to give that Gunpla a try. I think the problem is, I need to go to that store down by you, Mike, and really see what's out there because, like, here's the thing: giant robot is
uh-huh.
the genre I want to like, as,
Okay.
but I just somehow don't. And,
There's
and the ones I do like aren't that critically acclaimed. So,
yeah, there's a couple websites I'll send you. There's USA Gundam Store, which is a really good store to buy Gundams. Amazon's iffy right now because they a lot of their prices have gone up like a lot because they actually lost a whole freight. It was like a huge shipping container of Gundams. It's all in the ocean now
oh, that's
through from a storm. So like a lot of there's like a lot of supply and demand issues. But
All right, get the dive team together. We're going to
new
get them for
type.
free.
There's one that's called like New Type, I believe, is a website you can go to. There's a bunch of websites you can try out.
Yeah,
After the show, send me your address and I'll send you some Gunpla.
oh,
yeah.
I
So
actually have a couple kits that I'm not gonna build,
okay.
but I'll send them to you for free.
Awesome.
Yeah,
yeah, so USA Gundam Store is Florida, New Type is California, and you have Gundam Planet, which is New York, New Jersey.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. I'll send you some Gunpla. I got a extra backlog of high grades
Okay.
I can send to you.
You don't have any G Gundam ones by any chance, do you?
No, I don't. G Gundam, honestly, you can probably get them online. They don't make a lot of the G Gundam ones.
That's
Oh no, yes, I do. I actually do. I have a Nobel Gundam that I haven't built yet. You can have.
excellent.
Yeah, I'll send that to you.
Real quick before we go any further, like I'm
All
kind of
right.
looking at the wave forms here on the screen. Like, am I registering on your guys' screen?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just really small.
Yeah,
Is that something
yeah.
you guys can fix in post or?
We'll try.
Okay.
We'll try.
If you have trouble, send me the sound file. I'll see what I can do.
Okay, no
I
problem.
just didn't see anything on my screen, so I didn't know like if you can't see your own.
Yeah, it's like faint little jumps.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, hopefully it sounds good. We'll try to send it to you, or we'll try to edit it.
Cool.
Um, but yeah, moving on to your YouTube channel. What made you want to start a YouTube channel?
Okay. So, um, we didn't say this at the beginning, but I used to run a Punisher podcast that I did with my good buddy from college, Dane, and we did that for almost 10 years. And we've recently decided to go on hiatus indefinitely for a combination of things. My buddy, his dad owns a restaurant chain in his hometown, and they acquired a second store, and I know that's been a burden on his family. And then he's he works teaching professionally, like at a college, and he was getting extra responsibilities from that, and we it just wasn't really working out. With our schedules and everything. And, we'd been doing it for 10 years, so it was kind of time to move on. But we used to do a segment in our show called Discharge Papers. This was our little block outside of our, banter at the opening of the show. This was our chance to talk about other things. And more and more in the later episodes, I'm just always talking about manga and anime. And again, I've been collecting for like 20 years, and I used to think I had a decent sized collection until I got onto Instagram and was sorely mistaken.
Hey, you don't have to shout me out here, okay?
I mean, mine's not too bad. I think in our house we have about 1,000 tankobon altogether, which is pretty good. It's a decent sized collection. But I've read a lot of stuff, seen a lot of stuff. I thought I would have something to offer the community, and I thought it would be an interesting angle having my wife and daughter help out. But it kind of started with just doing a manga tour to show to my podcast listeners, because I think a couple of them had expressed interest in seeing that. So I did that, put it up on YouTube. I did it on my personal channel at first because I didn't think I was going to do like a whole separate channel. And it was getting a decent amount of views. With my normal podcast kind of going away, I wanted something for that creative outlet. So that's how I ended up doing the YouTube channel. And
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it started off with my daughter just heckling me, and I used her as a camera person to follow me. And then I slowly started pulling my wife into it, and I think she's getting, more into it. So
that was kind of going to be my next question was how did your family react to you wanting to do that, like as a hobby, and kind of bringing them in,
Yeah, at first my daughter was just whatever, just behind the camera. She's still just mostly behind the camera. She's extremely shy and doesn't want to be on camera. Though she joined us for our yakitate J-pan when we made a recipe out of that book. And then it took some convincing from my wife, because again, she's also extremely shy. But then she was just like, well, I guess it's not fair that you're always on camera. And a lot of people were encouraging, let's the family. And so she's decided that she will do the haul videos each month.
That's good.
Yeah. So I'm hoping to get, daughter on camera before too long, but we'll see.
Oh yeah,
one of my favorite things when I'm watching your videos is like the interaction, because they're not on the screen.
Right.
We can't see them, and like whenever you're like, "Oh, I got another Instagram suggestion," and your daughter's like, "Oh."
Right.
Or like, oh, I got another wrapped manga here, and she's like,
oh yeah.
Like, I love the banter. I love the banter between you guys.
So let me explain that joke about plastic. The guy that got me into manga back in 2003, his name was, I believe his name was Jason Stolting. I think we worked together for a cleaning company, but we were hired by Fidelity, like over there in West Little Rock, if I'm remembering. Anyway, we were working together, and that's how he got me into manga. And he would only buy wrapped plastic. And I called him out on him one day. I was like, well, will you ever buy any manga that's not wrapped in plastic? And he just like looked at me. He was like, no, I have no interest in non like adult material manga. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, right.
Whatever. But I told that to my wife, and then that's just kind of like I said, that conversation happened in like 2004, um, and that's just kind of continued. And now my daughter's in on the joke, and that's why she always makes fun. Like we'll be in Barnes and Noble, she'll grab it, and she'll be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, it has to be good. It's wrapped in plastic."
Yeah, right.
And then yeah, the like and my daughter, she's so sweet. She's so good with money, which is unlike.
Yeah.
I'm horrible with money. I'm just making it rain all over my hobbies. And so she just gets concerned. I don't know why. I mean, the bills get paid and everything. She's never gone without a meal because I overspent on manga. But yeah, she gets upset when I waste money on a dumb purchase.
Oh man.
The,
my wife feels the same way about me.
yeah, I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of one of the things that drew me into your channel is like all of y'all like as a collective, and there's like just the interaction between you guys has just been so fun to watch and enjoy, and I always feel like I learn something new when I watch your channel
Well, that's good. Yeah.
because you talk a lot more about like a lot of the older manga sometimes, or some manga that I never even heard of, and
Right.
I mean, I felt that was the one thing I could bring to the table, which might have been a mistake. Was I thought, oh, maybe some people would like to know about some classic comics, but no, it's all Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen,
Right.
all in.
well,
Feel
I
I
I
feel the
like it when
same
you bring
way.
up the classics.
I feel
That's
the
what I
same
personally
way.
like.
Like, guys, there's been
Which
more stuff besides Naruto in manga.
right, right.
I mean, at least you're not pegged as the etchy channel. Everybody just wants etchy stuff from me.
I
Right.
don't know
You
why. I
you
mean, yeah,
you asked, you took my title.
I mean, you cover the HE stuff, but I mean, you mostly just cover the stuff you buy.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm
Yeah,
assuming you buy more stuff than the HE. I've seen other stuff than HE.
Right.
But
yeah.
yeah,
But
Well,
like all those videos are the ones that get views, or the whenever like I review like a hentai or something, like those shoot up like out of nowhere. But when you do like I don't know, like a regular manga that nobody really knows about, nobody wants to watch it.
dude,
right.
the only videos on my channel that mostly get views are the haul channels. Or
Yeah, that's usually how it is.
yeah,
Right.
like
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, look, I'm glad. Look, I do the haul videos. They're fun. I want people to come for the hauls, stay for the rest of the content. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know why people are obsessed with seeing what I bought. When they,
Yeah, it's so weird. I mean, I feel like the halls like draw people in,
yeah,
and
well, which is
then you're kind of like, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that's good. I'm glad that things
Yeah,
bringing them in. It's like the attract mode on the old arcade machines.
Right.
yeah,
I feel like that halls are probably like the everybody has like one of those secret things like with ASMRs where they're like, I just want to see you take it out of the box. That's like what I
yeah.
need
Like
to do.
I've had people tell me and comment to me, I don't want to see you. I just want to see the manga, and I'm like, but I want to see myself on the video camera.
Right. Small tier.
Yeah,
But no, I mean, I think that people who come for the halls. There's definitely some funny banter and everything, but you're missing like so much of it. Like we did recently, we covered Chobits.
oh, that's actually one of my favorite videos from you.
Yeah,
Is the Chobits one?
and we're talking about the overweight guys at the comic book store wearing nice
Yeah,
shirts, whether or not cheese ears or cow ears or android ears. You know, uh,
yeah,
Right.
there's a lot more to. Or in our newest video, we talk about that new book, "Play It Cool, Guys," and I just
Yeah.
slammed the book down on the table, saying, "This is bullshit." I have been a nerdy, awkward guy all my life, and girls do not think it's cute. Okay, I don't.
Right. And then it's like, here it is. Yeah.
But
I think probably one of my favorite things that I see you do is when you put the little clips on Instagram and how I Am Megs has the whole nobody asked, nobody cared thing. I feel like yours is well, we need the right tool to open this box. Then you pull out the knife, and I'm like, love it, love it.
Yeah, that's a fun thing to do. I'm running out of knives to show on camera though, so I gotta
You gotta buy some new knives.
I got my eyes on a couple of kukri on Amazon. I need to pull the trigger and pick some up.
So I specially asked him, Mike, before. I said, I just need you to get a really small box and then out of nowhere pull out a katana and be like, we're going to open this box.
I do need to do that. But, I can kind of get away with wasting money on manga because, my wife will eventually read a lot of what I buy too.
Yeah.
No, she'll get pissy if I have like more and more knives coming into the house. So you got to pick your battles.
You just gotta. You'd be like, "Oh, that's not new. It's an old."
Yeah,
knife.
I've had that forever.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I pre-ordered it like a long time ago.
And then she'd be like, "Sure, you did."
Yeah.
So I had a comment, or I had a question on y'all's thumbnails and stuff. So, do you ever come up with the concept for any of y'all's thumbnails when she's drawing them?
Yeah, I come up with the concept a lot of the time. Not every time, maybe about 50-50. Like, for example, let's stick with that Chobits one. I made the comment that, like, every character in this book likes to stand on poles. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know why Clamp draws people standing on a light pole, standing on a vertical clock. I'm like, what's going on with this? And so my wife was struggling to come up with the thumbnail. So I was like, okay, why don't you draw our daughter as Chi, like trying to stand up on a tall stack of manga?
Right.
Yeah. Or in our newest one, the Play It Cool guys discussion, I was like, I feel so old on Instagram. I feel like that Steve Buscemi meme, that goes around like, fellow young kids.
Yeah. No, I totally get it.
So I was like, draw me as that, but no, she comes up with the concept sometimes too. She's the one that came up with our Demon Slayer video where it's just me, nerd raging and slapping the manga out of our daughter's hand because, spoiler alert, I did not like Demon Slayer. You can.
I remember this rant.
I refuse to read it.
Look, I'm sure it's fine. I think a lot of people that like it, it's their first shonen, and that's not a knock. Everyone has their first battle.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Mine was Dragon Ball, so I understand that I have a huge log in my eye when I criticize this, though. But yeah, I was not a fan of Demon Slayer, and my wife was having so much trouble figuring out what to do for that, and that's ultimately what she came up with.
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, so like I have Demon Slayer and am collecting it, but as Mike knows, like if there's a big hype for anything, like I won't read it. So
yeah,
I just get it, and I'm like, when it dies down, maybe I'll get to start the series.
That's kind of how I am with Breaking Bad. Like I haven't seen it. I've heard it's great, but I don't know. Like, how is it going to live up to all the hype that everyone's had around it? It almost certainly won't.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I totally get that. I still haven't touched 20th Century Boys. Yeah, because of all the hype around it.
And what's fun? Oh man, 20th.
Me either.
My brother-in-law, also a Japanophile, but he doesn't get into anime or manga or anything like that. Like he married a woman from Tokyo, right? He's been to Japan, I don't know, 20 times, but he doesn't like anime or manga, except for 20th Century Boys.
Oh yeah, why is that?
I have no idea. Like
he just got into it.
I think he saw the movie on a plane flight. I don't know that he actually has the manga, but like, yeah, he saw the movie on a flight to Tokyo one time, and he's just been all about that franchise since then.
So we're gonna have to strap him to a chair and get him to watch some of the other movies or animes.
Well, the only other
I like this too.
Well, I take that back. He does watch some Studio Ghibli.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna put on my snobbery hat here. I'm not a Studio Ghibli fan. I barely consider it anime. I know that's a controversial opinion, but that's how I feel.
I think they have good animation. That's about it.
Yeah, top notch animation, Spirited Away,
I
Yeah,
only
top notch
top
animation.
notch.
I only like about 3 of them. So
Okay, well, I'm glad I'm in good company because that is heresy in most other weeb circles I run in.
right, crucified right there.
Oh,
Cancel.
Cancel.
you don't like Ghibli, even though they're not around anymore technically?
Right. Goodness. So let's take a small break and throw out our advertisement, and then we'll come back.
All right, we're back.
Brilliant segue.
Are we? Are we back?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe my computer needed to update between.
Ta-da!
All right, what's your next question, Jen? Do you have any more?
Yeah. So, what's your favorite superhero?
Oh man, that's a great question. It used to be Gambit from the X-Men because I was a '90s kid and there was
Yeah.
cooler in the '90s
Yeah.
than wearing a trench coat, going around throwing explosive cards, getting hit on by all the hot chicks. So it used to be Gambit, but I don't know who it is anymore. I mean, you'd probably expect me to say Punisher, and I'm not necessarily going to go into, oh, he's not technically a superhero. Um, yeah, I don't know.
He works. You know, he's in the middle right there
I
as a mercenary, but you know, he works because he's on both sides.
Speaking of Gambit, I kind of feel like he's been underutilized within like the past like couple decades.
Once they took him out of
True.
those pink tights, he became useless. They cut his hair. They, I don't know, got him involved with Mr. Sinister.
Like I liked him in that X-Men Legacy run that he was on, but like that's about it.
Yeah, I haven't read a good solid
And
Gambit story.
I
Actually.
liked him in the X-23 book. He was good in that.
Yeah.
But other than that, like I haven't liked Gambit since the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, same here.
Oh, man.
But if I could
Well, I feel
answer it a slightly different way, even though I
sure.
understand that this isn't the question. Some
Sure.
of my favorite American comic titles are obviously Watchmen. I think is
Mhm.
superior. Preacher. I'm a huge Garth Ennis fan. Absolutely love Preacher. And then V for Vendetta. You know, staying on that Alan Moore kick. And surprisingly, I like Booster Gold.
I love Booster Gold. I love Booster Gold.
I don't own like any Booster Gold comics, but I love the concept because it's totally what I would do if I were in his.
Yeah.
If I could time travel and have all access to like an Iron Man suit, I would totally be trying to like fight crime and and sleeping with heiresses and stuff like that. Like that would be me. Yeah.
So speaking of Preacher, did you watch the TV show that came out a few years
Oh
ago?
no. We
No,
don't do that here.
you don't watch the Preacher TV
No,
show.
like here's the thing.
It's a sin.
Generally speaking, I don't like it when the movies stray a long way from the comic. I like to have a lot of respect for the creator. You know, if you like the source material enough to option the property, then source
Mhm.
material. If you want to come up with your own bullshit, then go come up with your own bullshit. Okay.
Yeah.
So I heard about all the changes they had made, from the graphic novel, and
Mhm.
it's not my Preacher. Okay. This is something that they're putting Preacher on it. It's kind of like Coke and Pepsi. I want my Diet Coke. This is Diet Pepsi. I'm
Mhm.
not interested in Diet Pepsi.
So I watched the first couple episodes of Preacher. I never actually read the comic, but I've known about it for quite some time, and it made me want to go read the comic.
What?
So eventually I'll pick up the comic. I think Jen, you'll have to pick it up too, so we can read it together. We got a buddy read it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
and we got to talk about it on the podcast.
I actually know part of this because one of my friends went through a entire like indie comics read. My college actually had it, and he would go up there and check out like everyone that they put up, and it was just like this. Hey, did you hear about Preacher? Did you hear about Watchmen? Did you hear about The Walking Dead? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, how'd you hear about it? I'm like, you told me. So he would just.
I bought you Umbrella Academy, and you still have yet to crack it open. That shows how much you like comic books.
It might be my doorstop right now.
You better not be using it as a doorstop.
No, but it sounds like I need to put my Demon Slayer as my doorstop right now.
Most definitely.
That'd be a good use for Demon Slayer.
or maybe some toilet paper.
Oh my gosh. So, follow-up question for part of that of your favorite superhero is if you could have a superpower, what would you want your superpower to be?
Mind control.
Oh.
Like, I did not like the Jessica Jones TV show. Yeah. I totally resonated with Purple Man. That would be me all day long.
I enjoyed it, but I felt like it was kind of a drag. It like kind of drug itself out.
It was, but I mean, like I've had thoughts about this, right? Like, you know how Death Note, there's like a limited mind control ability with the Death Note. I've thought about, okay, let me write down Bill Gates' name. He's going to die on this date, but before he does, he's going to wire me $1 million. He's going to ship me a box of gold, and he's going to do all this before he dies, right? So, like, just imagine how like easy mode life would be if you could just, go to your bank teller and just tell them, I'll just take, $100,000, and then they just hand it to you because they're compelled to do it because you're mind controlling them, right? Like,
right.
You would never have road rage because you could just tell, the drivers to get off the road.
Get out of my way.
Yeah. So all these people who want flight as their superpower, like, what are you doing? Like with life, mind control. Mind control is the way to go.
I feel like flight would be pretty bad to have.
Well, here's the thing. With mind control, you have flight because you can make someone fly you in a plane. But
oh, yeah, that's true.
Lawyered.
Right? I mean, not only that, but you could just use, like, telekinesis and kind of almost do the exact same thing, because I imagine that to be like a Jean Grey or Professor X character. So, I mean, you have all this other stuff.
Professor X doesn't have telekinesis.
They're two different powers, man.
Yeah, two different powers. Get your powers correct.
They work together.
But see, telepathy.
No, they don't.
Powers of the mind.
Almost as good as telekinesis because I could mind control someone to go bring me something. So it's like telekinesis.
That's true.
Yeah.
So would you rather have like Professor X's powers or like more like the Purple Man? And like verbally say it?
Probably Professor X. For sure. Minus the paralysis, but he got paralysis through his legs being crushed, not through his superpower. So,
right.
So moving on, do you plan to expand your channel and incorporate more of your other hobbies into it besides manga?
At this point, probably not. Probably going to stick to manga, maybe some anime. But here's the: I suck at editing. I don't know.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah,
I do too.
I don't want to learn how to do all these sick edits that all these young kids are doing. And maybe that's why my channel will probably never get above 500 subs. But
my edit is the pause button.
Yeah. Well, I do a little bit of like trimming and stuff like that. Very rudimentary stuff.
Yeah.
But like some of these people, like especially for miniatures, they're working like 3 different cameras on all these rigs and you have to get it close up. Your lighting has to be top notch. Like that's just too much work, you know? So, no, I think I'm just going to stick to the manga for now. I mean, my ultimate goal is just to get to that promised land of, 1,000 subs and 10,000 views. So you can finally get monetization, whatever that threshold is. You know,
yeah, it's like 4,000 watch hours. I think it is.
Yeah, something. I don't know. That's where I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
So maybe in 10
That's what
years.
I. That's what
It
I.
it took me 2 years to get to 1,000.
Yeah.
That's what I
It took
told. That's what I
it
told
took a
Mike
while.
after I gave up on YouTube or whatever. I was like, I'm just trying to hit 1,000 followers on Instagram. Damn it!
Yeah, and then what's funny is, I'm definitely not going to point anyone specifically out, but I see a few people on Instagram are like, "Oh, I finally decided to make my YouTube channel," and I go back like a week later, and they've already blown past 1,000 subs, and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, YouTube's a weird thing. I don't understand it. I don't understand how people blow up on it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I always feel like I'm doing something wrong, but then I'm like, I'll just do my own thing and like not look at the
yeah.
numbers. Because when I start looking at the numbers and like my analytics, I start to go crazy and like self. I start to like doubt my own self.
No, I totally understand what you're saying, but more
Yeah,
than anything, I think what I appreciate more than the subs or the likes or anything like that is the people who leave comments
yeah,
and engage in the engage in the discussion. That's the main reason that I started my Punisher
yeah.
podcast to begin with, and that's the same thing I want to keep going. If I never reach monetization levels, that's fine as long as
It's a hard thing to get
yeah.
to.
And another thing, I'm probably never going to be monetized to the point where I can, quit my day job. I mean, it's probably never going to happen.
Right.
Um, but
Yeah,
at this
We'll
point,
always have Instagram.
yeah, at this point, I just want to make some extra cash so my daughter doesn't, give me a hard time for buying manga. I need to bank
Right.
my manga habit here. But no, just the engagement in the comments is what and
yeah.
then, you know, sharing enough pearls of wisdom that two cool guys invite me onto their podcast where my audio was terrible. I was 30 minutes late due to tech problems.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
okay.
the cloud I enjoy having.
We understand.
Yeah, hopefully we can salvage
Right.
the audio because I'm feeling super
Oh,
terrible over here.
I mean, I jumped on 15 minutes early. I was like, Mike, it's like I have to figure out because we haven't done anything with my new headset or anything. And we were sitting here, and me and Mike are both yelling at each other. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I can only hear Mike, and he can't hear me at all. And I was like, damn it. So then I'm trying to fix stuff, and Mike's starting to blow up my phone. I can't hear you. Where are you at? And I had to unplug the snowball mic and start uh, hook up the little antenna thingy to my headset because it was trying to register everything through the headset instead of using the snowball mic. So I was like,
Yeah, yeah. And I'm kind of hoping that's not what's going on here. Is that that's probably is what's going on here. I think it's recording me through um, some microphone that's not hooked up. I don't know. I don't want to jinx it.
dun,
Oh,
dun, dun.
Well, hopefully we can
Who knows?
salvage it.
yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, you got any more questions? I got one left.
Um, I was gonna ask you, do you have any tips or tricks on from when you started your podcast?
I mean, the first one is y'all are already doing that gangbusters, which is just putting out the content, semi regularly. Um, you gotta
Yeah.
you gotta have the chemistry, which I think you
Yeah.
guys definitely do. Um, that was the thing when I started the Punisher podcast was that I was hanging out with my buddy Dane, and we would like hang
Mm-hmm.
out smoking cigars, and we would talk Punisher, comic books, a little bit of manga. He's also into manga and anime and stuff. And I just found like we bounced off of each other really well. We did that whole
Yeah.
straight man, funny man thing, really well. And I was like, man, some of these conversations we've had, I wish I would have had a tape recorder so I could play it to other people, with how funny it is. And I think you guys got that chemistry going. You've certainly got the knowledge. You've been in the hobby a long time. Um, I don't know what else there is to do. I mean, you can do some
Yeah.
slicker editing, I guess, which is a lot easier with sound. You can get
Yeah.
Audacity for free, just copy and paste some sound effects in there if needed. Not everything has to be a super
Right.
quick production. You know,
Yeah. I have to say, going back listening to your podcast, um, I personally enjoy it, even though you said not to listen to the old
yeah, the old
episodes. I'm currently on the 2099 episode where you're
yeah,
talking about Punisher
yeah,
2099.
yeah.
Yeah, but I enjoy them and I listen to them at
That
work,
was
and
So,
that was
I think they're fun.
that was after the that was after our discussion of Return to Big Nothing, right? Or
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
the
yeah,
famous incident early on.
where you got canceled
Yep. But I think,
because he said Scott Pilgrim sucked.
oh no.
but yeah, yeah, we had some good times, and I think whatever you're talking about, definitely let the first thoughts that come into your mind be some of the things that you talk about. The
Yeah.
things that sound stupid are what's entertaining, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
No one wants
Totally.
to listen to a podcast where it's like This American Life or whatever you hear on NPR, where it's like, oh, and today we read, Food Wars Volume One, and we really enjoyed it because they made the food and it looked so delicious. Like no one wants to hear that. They want to hear Yukihira is like eye banging the one redhead chick and all these things. All these girls want to jump up on his baby maker, even though all he does is cook all day. Like that's the stuff that people want to hear. You know,
Right.
there was a reason why the Jerry Springer show was popular.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like, so for like one of our first shows that we did, Mike goes, "I'm glad we're not on camera because and we're only recording audio," because he goes, "I'm not even putting pants on for this."
Yeah, that's the stuff you got to capture on recording. That's it.
Right. Well, the worst part is as long as me and Mike have been friends, I would know sometimes when we were sitting there on if we did anything on YouTube, and I was like, "You didn't wear pants today, did you?" He goes, "How'd you know?" I said, "Because you kind of do this thing where you look down too much, like your dick's hanging out." And he was like, "You knew that?" And I went, "I'm not stupid."
Yeah, that's the stuff people want to see. And after that, it's just luck. You got to have the right person with the right, you
Yeah.
know, number of followers to share it out and go viral. I mean, I have
Yeah.
no experience with going viral, so I can't help you out there.
Oh yeah. I was just looking for like more like audio and
Um,
like what you like suggest we might use.
yeah, I mean, I didn't even know about the Zencaster here, so this is like a
Uh
new
huh.
thing. But yeah, when we recorded, we would talk on Skype. And it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like a little bit later. Early on, we just used a program that would just record our Skype call. Um,
Oh,
but a
okay.
little bit later, what we did was we used Skype to talk. We were
Mm-hmm.
recording ourselves locally using this program called Audacity, which is the
Okay.
free sound editor.
Yeah. I actually downloaded
Yeah,
that and I use
it's
it.
super intuitive to use. I mean, if an
Uh
idiot like me can do it, I know you can do it.
huh.
Right. I'm glad Mike like has the spirit for doing all that stuff, because when it comes down to it, like I'll find something, I'll send it to Mike, he'll goes, "I'll do the research on it." I'm like, I'm so glad, because I said I'm dumb when it comes to technology.
Yeah,
And then whenever it gets into kind of more of the, oh well, what's the artsy kind of stuff and all this, I'm like, oh, I got that. I got another person I just found that does commissions. Let me ask them real quick.
yeah. So, yeah, we started at one point recording both of our tracks separate
Uh huh.
and then putting them together so that way we could edit out a single track, so it's not like he's coughing while I was speaking. So there's no way to trim that out without losing content.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Right.
something we could do. Adding, finding the right sound effects, keeping your bumper sounds short. I've only listened to a few of your episodes, but I don't think you guys use too many bumpers. Uh,
No.
and it's not that you necessarily have to do that. I mean, that's kind of
Yeah.
getting into that morning zoo kind of area. And
Yeah.
No, Mike did listen to one of mine though, and he goes, "There was a splash in the background. What was that?" And I go, "I recorded when I was in the tub."
that's great.
So he told me I should change one of my shows over to because I think it was one of my Fortnite ones, and he's like, "You should change it over to Fortnite and Jin's Tub Time," and I was like, "Oh my god!"
That's brilliant.
No, I think it was like Bubbles and Bubbly.
Yeah,
Oh,
bubbles and bubbles.
here's the question: when this file is done, you get
Uh-huh.
like the 3 separate audio tracks, or is it all okay?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, it'll be 3 separate audio tracks, and
Cool. That
then
means maximum chance of salvaging my track.
I mean, I've never actually like messed around with volume on Audacity. I kind of just import everything and put it out as one file. So I guess I can try to mess around with it and see how it
Yeah, I
goes.
mean, I think what you'll have to do is you'll have to level out my stuff or to
Yeah,
increase the gain. I think is the technical
yeah.
term for it. But if you have trouble, you can
Right.
send me the files. I can try and throw something together for you.
Okay. If I have trouble, I'll message you.
Sounds great.
So
Yeah.
I got just a few more questions.
Okay.
So first one is, what's another person that you like to listen to that you would like to see basically come on to our podcast?
That's a good question. Let's see here. I think Marg reads manga would be pretty good. Um, she's one of the only few people that I listen to pretty much all the time. Um,
Yeah.
I think that I am Megs, even though she does, I guess she technically has a YouTube channel. She always has kind of funny stuff to say. Um, she could be,
But yeah, she's fun to listen to. I listen to her as
yeah.
well.
I've recently discovered Prof Otaku, and I love the energy that he puts on to camera,
Hmm.
which is good. I think Manga Man Chris. I know he's a younger guy. I know he's kind of like in the new generation of manga collectors, but I think he's got some good energy and some good potential in the space. So I mean, those are who I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, there's obviously no loss for content creators out there.
Yeah.
Right.
It seems like you wait a week and everyone on IG is creating a new channel, you know.
Well, yeah.
And I
Right.
joke about that, but I'm one of those people. So go on
That's true.
stones.
Very true.
Yeah.
Okay. And so for my last one, I had to make sure to leave this one till last. So what's your favorite character to imitate voice wise, and can you give us an example of it?
Oh, that's great. I wasn't prepared. I had some water first. Let me see what. Let me. Here you go. Hopefully that this will come through. You know, since the child of the '80s, growing up, I would always watch the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. I remember when there was this dumb kid and that didn't know anything. That I watched one of the greatest movies of all time, Terminator 2. And then I remember going to somebody's house and they had Terminator 1. And it blew my mind. I was like, what is this? I didn't know that there was a Terminator 1. I thought that they called it Terminator 2 because there were 2 Terminators in the movie. You know, but again, this is all when I was 10 years old. It was very dumb that there wasn't the genius that did him now. And I don't know what happened. I started watching a lot of the videos of people doing the Arnold Schwarzenegger impressions. And then I'm like, I'm a big guy with a deep voice. Maybe this is something that I can do. So this is where you get this impression from. And sometimes I'll do this when I'm in the drive-through. Ordering some McDonald's, getting the hash brown. It's fantastic. And I'll even do it at the meetings in work or on Zoom. That I start doing this impression, and it really makes people laugh. It's very wonderful. You know, I I just love doing this. Arnold Schwarzenegger has been such a great role model for my life. 6-time Mr. Olympia. He basically married into the American royal family by marrying the Kennedy. He worked on the President's Council of Fitness under George H.W. Bush. Does a lot of philanthropy, makes fantastic movies. He's just fantastic.
There you go.
I hope
I'm speechless. That was good.
Oh man, one time I did that like a telemark. I get a lot of telemarketing calls. I'm sure that a lot of people can relate to this. And one time I just started fucking with them and did the Arnold voice, the whole time. And they're
uh-huh.
asking me like, "Well, where are you from, sir?" And then they did them in California, but did them originally from Graz, Austria. And like they're not buying it at all. They know this is just some guy messing with them. But whatever. The more time they're wasting on me is less time they're calling you. So I did my public service.
Right. Right.
But no, that was a great question. I appreciate the chance to do my impersonation on your podcast.
Well, I just want to say thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
and this was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
thanks.
was fantastic. I'll definitely come back anytime. And again, huge thank you for being. I think I had less than 20 subs, and you were sharing out my YouTube channel. So
I don't even know how I found it. I think I just randomly like came on and it just showed up or something. Or maybe it was on Instagram. I can't remember. And I was like, I clicked on it. I was like, I like this guy. I'm gonna help him out. You know,
and I totally appreciate that. And again, for having me on.
So one more thing.
Yeah.
Where can people find you at that you want them to be able to find you at?
Sure. Well, again, the YouTube channel, it's officially Meet the Weeb Family. Not sure if we ever said that. I'm horrible at self-promotion. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm also there at Meet the Weeb Family. Those are the main two things. I'm on Facebook, but I've almost kind of abandoned Facebook. Like I think it just got too soul draining in this last election cycle. So
Right.
I've been taking, somewhat of an informal break from there. But you can either find my old Punisher podcast page there, Punisher Body Count. You could try to friend me. You can search Jacob Williams, but there's probably a sea of Jacob Williamses out there because millennials had no originality. They're all naming their kids Jacob these days. You don't know how many times I have been in Target shopping for something, and then someone goes, "Jacob, get over here," and I think that they're talking to me, and it freaks me out. So,
yes, ma'am. I'll be there in a second.
Yeah. So there you go. Those are some good ways to get a hold of me if you're interested. Love chatting about manga and whatever. So feel free to hit me up.
Cool. Most definitely. We'll put your links in the show notes so people can find you, and we will blow it up on the Instagrams so people can follow you as well.
Excellent.
Because we enjoy the content that you put out.
Thank you.
It's like nonstop, I feel like.
Well,
and
we try to go every other week for a new video. And then we do end of the month hauls kind of like at the end of the month. Those are the only ones we don't put on our release schedule there.
Yeah, you seem very consistent, and I feel like if you're like consistent with uploading videos and stuff, people will show up and watch.
Hopefully, that's what all the experts say.
Yeah, that's what all the experts say. I mean, I still haven't figured it out, but you never know. But yeah, thank you for coming on, and I got no more questions. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, and I hope we can do it again someday.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you've listened to our stuff, right?
Yeah, I've listened to a few episodes now.
You want to lead us out with what we say at the end of all our shows?
See, now you're putting me on the spot. Because, well, let's see. I watched the first couple of. I listened to the first couple, and I don't remember y'all having one. So I don't know if that's something. I don't know if you added in the Beverly Hills Ninja one because
see you next Tuesday.
And remember,
see
you next Tuesday.
And remember, see you next Tuesday. Hasta la vista, baby.